If you're like me, and I think a lot of other gardeners who start their plants from seed at the beginning of the season, as you're getting your seeds ready to go, the grow room is in pretty bad shape. It's dirty, it's cluttered, and it definitely needs to be cleaned up. Join me today as I show you how I prepare my seed growing operation every year. Hi, I'm Gardener Scott, and I'm ready to start seeds indoors. But my grow area isn't ready. There's still a lot that needs to be done. And this is why. Every year I get so focused on starting the seeds and then growing those seedlings and potting up to newer pots and hardening off and putting them outside. Now along the way, I take the easy approach. As I put a plant into a pot, well, I just leave the seed tray dirty. And as I put plants outside or some of the plants die, the pots remain with some of the potting soil left in them. And then I just stick all those pots and all of those trays and all of those cells on my tables, waiting till the next year to get them all cleaned up and ready to go for another year. I know it might be easier to clean up as I go along, but when I finally get the good weather of late spring and early summer, I want to be outside. I don't want to be inside cleaning all my pots and preparing the grow area. I think this is a job better left for the middle of winter when I can't be outside. So I really don't mind that there's a mess. It's just I can't start seeds again until all this gets cleaned up. Now, an important factor to understand as I proceed is that you can reuse just about everything from the year before. I intend on reusing this soil, and I'll show you that process to include sterilizing it. I intend to reuse all of these seed starting trays, but they just need to be cleaned up. I'm planning on using this same operation with the same lights once I get everything ready to go. The first thing I'm going to do is to collect all of the old potting soil and seed starter mix from last year. And it's just a simple matter of putting it into a bowl. It's dry. It hasn't gotten any moisture in months and months, but that's okay. Now, some of these pots held plants that either died off during the hardening off process, or I decided they didn't really need to go in the garden, or maybe the seed just didn't germinate. Regardless of the reason for this soil remaining in these pots, I can use it again. Now, this big block can easily be crumbled up and put into this bowl. And when I've collected about 3/4 of this bowl, I'm going to go to the next phase, which is to sterilize this soil. Sterilizing the soil is a step that is often overlooked by many gardeners. All of this soil at one time or another was in my grow room under lights. And I, like most gardeners, had fungus gnats. So it's very likely that there could be fungus gnat eggs in this potting soil. And a good portion of this soil also spent time outside as I was hardening off the plants. And who knows what blew in on the wind and rested on this soil. It could be fungal spores, it could be bacteria, I just have no idea. So if I take the time to sterilize this soil using boiling water, then I can kill those eggs, I can kill those spores, and I can make this potting soil ready to use for another season without worrying about any of those harmful microorganisms that could be growing in it. So I heat up a container of water to boiling, and then I just pour the water over this potting soil. I like to work in small batches, which is why I use a bowl this size and only fill it up about 3/4 full. Because as soon as I pour this water on, it's going to start cooling. And it's the temperature of the water that's going to kill all the organisms in this bowl. By killing the organisms, the soil becomes sterilized. But if I had a big batch of soil and a small amount of boiling water, there's no guarantee that I'm going to kill what's in the soil. You can also put your soil in the oven and bake it, but I actually think that's more trouble, and it actually smells up the house quite a bit. You saw how easy it was to just pour boiling water over it and sterilize it. And now I just dump it into where I'm going to start potting up plants very soon. I will be adding new potting soil to the old potting soil. Now, I could just use the old or just the new, but it's easy for me to blend, especially since this is already moist. And once it cools down, it's ready to start putting seeds in. And now I'll continue with the rest of these pots, taking this soil, sterilizing it, and getting it ready to go. Now, I won't be sterilizing the new mix because I'm making the new mix with worm castings from my own worms. And those castings have a lot of good, beneficial bacteria in it. If I sterilize the potting soil that has the worm castings, I'll be killing all those beneficial bacteria, and I don't want to do that. So the old mix is sterilized, the new mix won't be, and I'll have a lot of good soil to use because I can reuse what I already made last year. In addition to all the pots and the trays I also have a lot of plant tags, some old dead branches, twigs, and leaves, and paper towels. This is a good time to go ahead and just clean up the area as I move forward, trying to get all the rest of the material clean. With just that little bit of effort, it's already starting to look cleaner and tidier. And now I want to focus on the pots because these pots could be contaminated with something that might be harmful for seedlings. If you've had any problems with damping off disease, well, then you need to sterilize your pots as well. I've not had that issue in years because I've just kept it from happening by cleaning my pots and trays every year. I start by just trying to clean off some of any loose soil that may be in the pot, and then I put it into a solution of bleach water. And so this is a 10% solution of bleach. And it's very easy to just measure out warm or hot water and then put 10% bleach in it. That will ensure that all of this is sterilized before I put more soil and seeds or plants in it. And I'm just going to continue this process, cleaning the loose soil from these pots, letting it soak in this water briefly, and then I'll be ready to clean these pots. I will go ahead and turn all these pots so they get some of this bleach water on all sides and have a few minutes to soak. Now, the bleach can be caustic and cause skin irritation, so I strongly encourage that you wear gloves when it comes time to actually clean the pots. And also wear clothes that you don't mind getting some bleach on. And this is actually my pot cleaning shirt, because a number of years ago, as I did this with hundreds and hundreds of pots at the Galileo School, one day I noticed I had lots of little spots all over this shirt. Well, that's from the bleach splattering up onto it. So I don't wear this shirt very often, pretty much just about once a year when I'm cleaning the pots. I just use a simple sponge, and then it's just a matter of just a light wipe on these pots. Most of that loose soil is cleaned off. And so all I have to do is just put this on paper towels to dry. Now you can rinse these pots in water, and I did that for years, but the chlorine actually dissipates quite quickly. And so when these dry, there won't be any residue left behind. And because that chlorine dissipates so quickly, you will need to replenish your bleach water periodically, depending on how many pots that you're cleaning, because you should be doing this for both indoor pots and outdoor pots at least once a year. I should be able to get through the pots I've got in about the next hour. The bleach will be fine for that period of time. I'll also be moving on and cleaning my trays and my seed cells. The process is the same for these cells and trays. Letting it soak a little bit in the bleach water after cleaning off as much of the loose soil as possible, and then trying to clean each of these individual cells as much as possible. A bottle brush can work really well for this. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because even if there is a little bit of soil left behind clinging to the sides, well, it's been soaked with bleach water, and so anything that might have been growing in it will be killed. And even though there might be a little bit of soil, it's going to be sterilized. And then when this is completely clean, let it drain on some paper towels. With the pots and trays all cleaned, now I can go ahead and clean and sterilize the area that I'm actually going to be working in to start the seeds. And I just use a basic house spray to clean and disinfect this area. With the pots and trays and seed starting area clean, now I'll focus on my lights. And I'll tidy up this area. It's just become a repository for things like plant labels and markers, my clipboard and pencil to keep track of the seeds I grow. These actually have a better place. They don't need to be cluttering up my light stand. So I'll clean up this area some more, and I'll also disinfect all of these shelves. With the light shelves cleaned, now I'll actually check the lights to make sure they're working and plug in the heat mats to make sure that they're warming up too. I still have some more pots and trays to clean up before I get actively started with my seeds, but the basics are done, and I'll just continue following this same process to get everything cleaned and sterilized. With what I've already accomplished, I could go ahead and start seeds right now, but I am going to wait until I get the bulk of everything ready to go. Those are the basics: cleaning, sterilizing, and preparing your workspace. And you'll be ready to start seeds reusing the same equipment you had last year. I'm Gardener Scott. Enjoy gardening.